My name is Marcelline Draper. I'm 28 years old, and I learned the hard way that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you most. What I'm about to tell you happened 3 months ago, but I can still feel the sting of my sister's words like it was yesterday. You know that moment when someone you love completely destroys something precious to you? When they take your heart and just stomp on it? Well, my sister Dahlia did exactly that on her 30th birthday. She had no idea that her cruelty would come back to bite her in the most spectacular way possible. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, because this story, this beautiful, twisted story of revenge, deserves to be told properly. Trust me, by the end, you'll understand why I did what I did. And maybe, just maybe, you'll think I was completely justified. Dahlia and I have always been different. She's the type who posts Instagram selfies at Starbucks every morning, drives a white BMW her boyfriend bought her, and thinks Olive Garden is fancy dining. Me? I'm more of a thrift store treasure hunter who makes my coffee at home and actually reads books instead of just posing with them. Growing up in suburban Ohio, we'd always been competitive. But somewhere along the way, that healthy sibling rivalry had turned toxic. At least on her end. Dahlia had developed this habit of dismissing anything I cared about as weird or artsy or her personal favorite, so very you, Marceline. The way she said my name, like it was some kind of disease she might catch, always made my skin crawl. But family is family, right? You're supposed to love them unconditionally, support them no matter what. That's what I had been telling myself for years anyway. 3 months ago, I was walking through this little antique shop in downtown Columbus when I saw it. The most beautiful vintage music box I'd ever laid eyes on. It was from the 1940s, made of rosewood with tiny mother-of-pearl inlays. When you opened it, a delicate ballerina spun to For Elise, the same song our grandmother used to play on her old piano. I knew instantly that I had to buy it for Dahlia's birthday. See, when we were kids, Dahlia had been obsessed with ballet. She'd dance around our living room for hours, pretending she was performing at Lincoln Center. Grandma Rose would play For Elise, and Dahlia would twirl until she got dizzy and collapsed on the carpet, giggling. The music box cost me $300, money I definitely didn't have as a freelance graphic designer. But I'd been saving up for months, skipping dinners out, buying generic everything. Because I thought this gift would mean something. I thought it would remind her of who we used to be. Dahlia's birthday party was at some trendy rooftop bar in Short North. The kind of place where drinks cost $18 and everyone pretends to be having more fun than they actually are. I showed up in my nicest dress, a vintage piece I'd found at a consignment shop, carrying the carefully wrapped music box. I should have known something was off when Dahlia barely looked up from her phone when I walked in. She was surrounded by her usual crowd, perfectly styled women who all looked like they'd stepped out of the same Instagram filter, and guys in designer jeans who worked in finance, but couldn't explain what that actually meant. "Oh, Marceline's here," she announced to her friends, not bothering to get up. "Everyone, this is my sister. The artistic one." She said it with air quotes, and her friends exchanged those looks. You know the ones. The "oh, that's unfortunate" looks. But I swallowed my pride and walked over with a smile, because this was her day. I was determined to make it special. "Happy birthday, Dahlia," I said, holding out the beautifully wrapped package. I'd spent an hour getting the ribbon just right, had even splurged on the expensive wrapping paper from Target instead of my usual dollar store stuff. She took it without really looking at me, already turning back to her conversation about some reality TV show I'd never heard of. "Just put it with the others," she said, waving toward a corner table loaded with gift bags from expensive stores. "Actually," I said, my voice a little shaky, "I was hoping you'd open it now. It's special." Something in my tone must have gotten through to her, because she finally looked at me. Really looked. For a second, I thought I saw a flicker of the sister I used to know. The one who used to build blanket forts with me and share her Halloween candy. "Fine," she said with a dramatic sigh that made her friends giggle. "Let's see what artsy surprise Marceline brought this time." I should have known right then. The way she said it, the eye roll, the smirk her friend Bellamy was trying to hide behind her martini glass. All the warning signs were there, but I was too hopeful to see them. Dahlia unwrapped the box slowly, making a show of it for her audience. When she finally opened it and saw the music box, her expression went completely blank. Not surprised, not moved, not anything. Just blank. "Oh," she said flatly. "It's old. It's vintage," I corrected quickly. "From the 1940s. And look, when you wind it up." I reached over to demonstrate, and the tiny ballerina began to spin as For Elise filled the air. The silence that followed was deafening. Her friends were staring at the music box like it might bite them. Someone in the background was still talking about the Kardashians, but our little corner had gone completely quiet. Dahlia watched the ballerina spin for exactly 3 seconds before closing the lid with a sharp snap. "It's very you," she said finally, and there was that tone again. That dismissive, condescending tone that made my stomach twist. "I mean, I'm sure you put a lot of thought into it." "I did," I said quietly. "I thought you'd remember." "Remember what?" she interrupted, and now her friends were paying attention, sensing drama like sharks smell blood in the water. "Grandma Rose. How you used to dance to For Elise when we were little. How you wanted to be a ballerina and Marcelline." The way she said my name stopped me cold. That was a long time ago. I'm 30 now. I have a real job, a real life. I can't just keep living in the past like some people. The words hit me like a physical blow. But she wasn't done. "I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? Put it on my nightstand? It doesn't exactly go with my decor." Her friend Cordelia, yes, that's actually her name, leaned forward with fake concern. "Oh honey, I'm sure Marceline meant well." It's so sweet when people try to be thoughtful, even if they don't quite understand your style. The laughter that followed wasn't mean, exactly. It was worse, it was pitying. Like they all felt so sorry for poor, clueless Marceline who didn't understand that grown-ups don't want silly old music boxes. I felt my face burning with embarrassment. All those months of saving, all that time searching for the perfect gift, all the love I'd poured into choosing something meaningful, it was all being dismissed as naive and childish. "You know what?" I said, reaching for the music box. "Maybe I should just—" No, Dahlia said quickly, pulling it away from me. "I'll keep it. It's the thought that counts, right?" But the way she said it, the way she immediately pushed it to the far end of the table like it was contaminated, told me exactly how much that thought was worth to her. I left the party early. Made some excuse about having to work in the morning, which wasn't even a lie. Freelancers don't get days off. But really, I just couldn't stand being there anymore, watching Dahlia laugh with her friends while my gift sat forgotten in the corner. Driving home through downtown Columbus, I kept replaying the scene in my head. The blank look on her face. The dismissive tone. The way her friends had exchanged those pitying glances. But what hurt most was that she didn't remember. Didn't remember Grandma Rose, didn't remember those afternoons when we were kids and nothing else mattered except the music and the dancing and being together. I cried that night. Actually cried, like I was 12 years old again and Dahlia had broken one of my toys on purpose. Because that's what it felt like she'd taken something precious and just smashed it. But as I lay there in my apartment, staring at the ceiling and listening to my upstairs neighbor's TV, something else was growing alongside the hurt. Something darker and more patient. For the next few weeks, I tried to forget about the whole thing. I threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, even started going to yoga classes downtown. Anything to avoid thinking about that music box and the way Dahlia had looked at it like it was garbage. But then, 3 weeks later, I got a text from our mom. "Did you hear about Dahlia's breakup? She's really struggling. Maybe give her a call." I stared at the message for a full minute. Dahlia and Kenton had been together for 2 years. He was the one who'd bought her the BMW, who paid for half her rent in that fancy apartment in German Village. I'd never particularly liked him. He had that entitled rich boy vibe that made my skin crawl, but Dahlia had been obsessed with him. I should have felt sorry for her. Should have called immediately, put aside our issues to be the supportive sister. But all I could think about was that music box, sitting somewhere in her apartment, probably shoved in a closet or worse. I didn't call. Instead, I did what any self-respecting millennial does when they want information. I stalked her social media. Dahlia's Instagram, which usually featured daily selfies and pictures of expensive brunch, had gone completely silent. Her last post was from the day after her birthday party, a group shot from the rooftop bar where everyone looked perfectly happy and perfectly fake. But it was her friend Bellamy's Instagram that told the real story. Posted just 2 days ago, a photo of Dahlia crying into a wine glass at some dive bar, with the caption, "Supporting my girl through her darkest hour, #friendship, #breakups, #strongwomen." I almost felt guilty for the little thrill of satisfaction that shot through me. Almost. But then I remembered her laughing at my gift, dismissing 30 years of shared memories like they meant nothing, and the guilt disappeared pretty quickly. My phone rang while I was scrolling. "Mom. Marcelline, honey, have you talked to your sister?" "Not since her birthday," I said carefully. "She's really torn up about this breakup. Apparently Kenton just left. Took all his stuff while she was at work and left a note." Can you believe that? Actually, I could believe it. Kenton had always struck me as the type of guy who'd rather ghost someone than have an actual conversation. But I made appropriate sympathetic noises while Mom filled me in on the details. The worst part is, he took some of her things too. Including that beautiful music box you gave her for her birthday. She's absolutely heartbroken about it. I nearly dropped the phone. He took the music box? Can you believe it? She said it was the only thing that really mattered to her, and he just took it. She's been calling him nonstop trying to get it back, but he won't answer. The only thing that really mattered to her. The same gift she dismissed as old and useless just 3 weeks ago. The same gift she'd pushed away like it was contaminated. Now suddenly it was the only thing that mattered? That's terrible, I managed to say, though inside I was practically vibrating with a mixture of anger and vindication. I was hoping maybe you could talk to her? She's been asking about that music box constantly. Where you found it, if there are others like it. I think she's finally realized how special it was. Oh, now she realized how special it was. Now, when it was gone, when she couldn't get it back, suddenly my thoughtful gift was precious to her. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. But I could also see the opportunity. After weeks of feeling humiliated and dismissed, here was my chance to turn the tables. To make Dahlia understand exactly how it felt to want something desperately and be told it didn't matter. "I'll call her," I told Mom. "See what I can do." I hung up and sat in my apartment for a long time, thinking. I could be a bigger person. Could call Dahlia, comfort her, maybe even help her track down another vintage music box online. That's what a good sister would do. But I wasn't feeling particularly sisterly. I was feeling vengeful. I waited 2 more days before calling. Long enough for Dahlia to get really desperate. Long enough for the one to eat at her the way her dismissal had eaten at me. When Dahlia answered the phone, her voice was thick with tears. "Marcelline? Oh, thank God. Mom said she talked to you." "Hey," I said, keeping my tone carefully neutral. "I heard about Kenton. I'm sorry. It's not. I mean, yes, the breakup sucks, but Marcelline, he took it. He took the music box you gave me." Interesting how she didn't mention any of the other expensive things Kenton had probably bought her. Just the music box. The old, useless thing that didn't go with her decor. "That's awful," I said. "But I'm sure you can find another one online. There are lots of vintage music boxes out there." "No, you don't understand," she said quickly. "It has to be that one. The exact one you gave me. It meant something. It was from Grandma Rose's time, and when I heard that song again, I remembered. God, Marcelline, I remembered everything. Dancing in the living room, Grandma playing piano, how happy we were." Now she remembered. Now, when it was too late. "I've been calling Kenton for days," she continued, her voice breaking. "I offered to buy it back from him. I told him he could keep everything else, the jewelry, even the BMW, if he'd just give me back the music box. But he won't even answer my calls." I made sympathetic noises, but inside I was cataloging every word. She'd offered to trade a car for the music box. The same music box she'd almost shoved back at me just weeks ago. "Marcelline, I need your help," she said, and her voice was small and desperate in a way I'd never heard before. "Do you remember where you bought it? Maybe they have another one, or maybe you could help me find something similar." This was it. This was the moment I'd been waiting for without even realizing it. The moment when Dahlia needed something from me, when she was the one begging, and I was the one with the power. I could have told her the truth, that I'd searched for months to find that specific music box, that it was one of a kind, that there was no replacing it. I could have been honest and kind and helpful. Instead, I chose revenge. Actually, I said slowly, I might be able to help you with that. Really? The hope in her voice was painful to hear. Oh, Marcelline, thank you. I know I didn't. I know I wasn't very grateful when you first gave it to me. I was stupid and shallow, and I didn't understand how special it was. But I do now. I really, really do. I can see that, I said. The thing is, Dahlia, finding another one isn't going to be easy. That music box was incredibly rare. I spent months searching for it, and it cost me a lot of money I really didn't have at the time. I'll pay you back, she said immediately. Whatever it costs, whatever it takes to find another one. I have some savings, and I can probably get a loan if I need to. The desperation in her voice should have made me feel guilty. Should have reminded me that this was my sister, that family was supposed to stick together. Instead, it made me feel powerful. Well, I said, drawing it out, I suppose I could try to track down the dealer I bought it from. Over the next week, I strung Dahlia along beautifully. I told her I was making calls, following leads, reaching out to antique dealers across the Midwest. Every few days I'd call with an update. This shop didn't have anything. That dealer was looking through their inventory. Another collector might have something, but they were asking for twice what I'd originally paid. Each conversation was the same. Dahlia, increasingly frantic, begging me to keep trying. Promising to pay whatever it cost. Apologizing over and over for not appreciating the gift when I first gave it to her. I was such an idiot, she said during one of our calls. I was so focused on impressing my friends, on maintaining this image. I forgot what really mattered. I forgot about us, about our family, about Grandma Rose. God, Marcelline, I'm so sorry. And you know what? Part of me believed her. Part of me thought maybe this whole experience had actually taught her something, made her realize that meaningfulness was more important than expensive. But the bigger part of me, the part that was still hurt and angry, wanted to see how far I could push it. I might have found something, I told her on a Friday evening, exactly 3 weeks after she'd first called me crying. Really? She sounded like she was about to hyperventilate. Where? What is it? There's this dealer in Cincinnati who thinks he might have a similar piece. But Dahlia. I paused dramatically. It's going to be expensive. Really expensive. How expensive? $2,000. The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long I thought we'd been disconnected. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. 2,000. I know it's a lot, I said, injecting just the right amount of regret into my voice. But pieces like this are incredibly rare. The dealer says this one is actually in better condition than the original, and it plays the same song. It could be perfect for you. I don't have $2,000, she admitted. Not anymore. The breakup, losing half of the rent money. I've been staying with Mom and Dad while I figure things out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh, I said, letting disappointment color my tone. Well, maybe we could work something out. I could loan you the money, and you could pay me back when you get back on your feet. Would you do that? The hope in her voice was almost painful. Marcelline, I can't ask you to do that. $2,000 is so much money for you. She was right. $2,000 was more than I made in some months. It would mean eating ramen for weeks, skipping every social event, maybe even missing rent. But that wasn't the point anymore. Family helps family, I said simply. Besides, I know how much this means to you now. We arranged to meet the next day. I told her I'd drive to Cincinnati, buy the music box, and bring it back to her. All she had to do was wait. That night, I sat in my apartment and thought about what I was doing. I was about to take $2,000 from my sister for a music box that didn't exist, to replace a gift she'd originally treated like garbage. It was cruel. It was manipulative. It was probably going to destroy what was left of our relationship. And I was going to do it anyway. The next evening, I knocked on Mom and Dad's door where Dahlia was staying. She opened it immediately, like she'd been watching for me through the window. "Did you get it?" she asked breathlessly. "Were you able to find one?" I looked at her, really looked. She was thinner than she'd been at her. I considered telling her the truth, admitting that I'd made it all up, apologizing and trying to rebuild what we'd lost. Instead, I shook my head sadly. "I'm sorry, Dahlia. When I got to Cincinnati, the dealer told me he'd sold it that morning to someone else. Someone who paid cash and bought it right out from under us." The look on her face was devastating. Like I'd physically hit her. "But I'll keep looking," I said gently. "I won't give up. We'll find you another one, I promise." As I drove home that night, I should have felt guilty. Should have felt like the terrible person I was being. But all I felt was satisfaction. For the first time in weeks, the balance was even between us. She'd hurt me, and now I'd hurt her. The only problem with revenge is that once you get a taste of it, it's hard to know when to stop. And sometimes, when you're busy making someone else pay for their mistakes, you forget that you're making some pretty big mistakes of your own. But that's a lesson for another day. For now, I was content knowing that Dahlia finally understood what it felt like to lose something precious. Even if she'd never know that the thing she was mourning had been right there all along, waiting for her to realize its value. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting someone live with the consequences of their own choices. Even if you have to help those consequences along a little bit.